Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you a quick 10-minute mobility routine that you could do first thing in the morning to help your joints and muscles feel great all day long. Okay, so feel free to follow along in this routine. I'm going to simply start with my lower body and work up to the spine and then move to the upper body. So we're taking a joint by joint approach, slowly working with the ankles, then moving up to the knees, the hips, the spine, and then the shoulders and neck to finish things off. So we're really gonna loosen up all the joints to really set yourself up for better movement throughout the day. So our first exercise I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a knee and I'm gonna bring one foot out about 90 degrees perpendicular to my other leg. And I want my heel to be maybe a few inches just in front of my knee. I don't want to be too far out like this because we're trying to stretch the calf, and if the foot is too far away from the knee, then we're not going to get a good calf stretch. So go about a few inches away from the knee and use your arm to provide some leverage into the leg and slowly push your knee directly in line with your middle toe until you feel a stretch in the lower calf. And you want to make sure that you're keeping your heel down on the ground. So once you realize that your heel starts coming up off the ground, you've gone too far, you want to slowly rock back. Okay, so we're just going to do 10 slow rocks forward and back on this leg. Making sure that I'm not allowing my knee to cave in inside of my big toe. I want to keep that knee directly in line over the third toe or the pinky toe. So once I've done my 10 rocks there, I'm going to switch sides. For the other side, get my heel down on the ground, and then slow rocks forward and back. If you want a little bit more pressure on the leg and a little bit of a deeper stretch, you can always take a kettlebell and hold it on top of the leg right here to provide a little bit more of a stretch and weight going forward. All right, so I've done the ankles, now I'm going to move to the knees. So I'm focusing mainly on the muscles around the knees, so the hip flexors, quads, and hamstrings. So I'm going to get into a basic lunge stretch position with one leg in front, one leg back. I'm going to get into this 45-degree angle here so you can see me a little bit better. I'm going to start with my hands on my hips. I want to bring my foot out so that my knee is behind my heel right here because I'm going to go into a hip flexor stretch right here. So I'm going to press forward until I feel a stretch in the front of the hip right here. Once I feel that stretch, I'm not going to arch too much into it. I just want a little bit of stretch right here in the hip flexor and the quad. And then I'm going to kick myself back and I'm going to bring my toe up towards the ceiling, straightening out my knee, and I'm going to hinge forward just a tiny little bit and feel a stretch right here in my hamstring. Once I feel that stretch, I'm going to come out of it. I'm going to go right back into my hip flexor stretch and then rock back. So if you want a little bit more stretch in the hamstring, you can bring your chest a little bit further forward, but be careful not to round over or with your back and go into this position right here. For one, it's not really a position we want to be in for that stretch, but it also takes away from the stretch in the hamstring and it reinforces a poor spinal position. So we want to make sure the back is staying as straight as possible. Okay, so I've done 5 there on one side. I'm going to go 5 on the other side. Set up my foot out in front of me. Press forward. It's a hip flexor stretch. And then come back into a hamstring stretch. I'm really feeling the hip and the knees start to loosen up with every rock forward and back. Okay, so once I've done those, I'm going to move further up the body and I'm gonna go to my hips. So what I'm gonna do next is called a hip car or a hip controlled articular rotation. So you could just think of them as hip circles. I'm gonna get into what's called a quadruped position, which is hands and knees. And I want my back flat like a tabletop. As I'm doing this, I'm getting into that position, making sure my back is flat. I'm gonna initiate the movement of my hip by bringing this knee slightly outward and forward, okay? So I'm bringing that knee out and in front of me slightly. Once I run out of room, I'm not gonna dump this way and allow my hips to tilt and my spine to start rotating, okay? I wanna go only as far as I can while maintaining that tabletop position. Then I'm gonna very slowly start to bring this leg back behind me, kind of like a glute kick back. I'm gonna squeeze my butt as much as I can and really try hard not to arch my back in this position. So I wanna maintain a tabletop, keep good core engagement, try not to arch the back too much. It might happen a little bit, that's okay. But the biggest thing here is to have control over the entire movement as I'm doing it. So I did one complete repetition. That was where I went all the way back. And then all the way forward, reversing that hip car. So I'm gonna do 3 more on each side. Really making sure I'm getting into all those tight corners. All right, I've done 5 on that side, forward and backwards. So now I'm gonna go to the other side. Sweating in here quite a bit. Vegas summer, no AC in the garage. Sucks. But I am breaking a good sweat, so it's good. All right, so I'm gonna go to the other side now. Slow rotation. And all the way down, back to the starting position. Making those big circles. Really feeling the outer portion of my hip and my big glute muscles contracting with each circle there. One more. All right. So that was the hip car on both sides. Now I'm gonna move a little bit further up and I'm gonna work on my spine, particularly my thoracic spine, which is my middle to upper back. I'm gonna work on some rotation and start to loosen it up a little bit side to side. So what we're gonna do is get back into that quadruped position. We're gonna do some T-spine rotations. Okay, so I'll show you from this angle right here. I'm gonna get into that quadruped position first. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one arm, I'm just gonna reach through. I'm gonna thread the needle, reach through, try to get my upper back down into the ground. Once I've run out of room, I'm gonna come up, I'm gonna place my hand behind my ear, and I'm gonna rotate up towards the ceiling, going as far as my range of motion will allow me to go, not trying to force it too much. Just wanna hunt into those tight corners, try to loosen up as best I can. So I'm gonna do a few more for a total of 8 each side. And now I'm gonna go ahead and switch sides. Now as I'm bringing my hand out from under me, I'm reaching behind my ear. I'm not trying to grab my head and pull on it. I'm just placing my hand right here behind the ear, gently just to position my shoulder out here and open up the front of the chest a little bit. So we're not trying to yank on our head or our neck, try to force into any poor positions. Get a couple more here on this side. And we'll move on to the shoulders. All right. So my spine is feeling sufficiently loose now. So I'm gonna get back into my lunge position and I'm gonna do what's called shoulder carves. So similar to that hip carve where I was making big circles with the hip joint, taking it through all those tight ranges of motion, I'm gonna go in and do the same thing with the shoulders. Okay, so you could do this standing, you could do it in a half kneeling position, whatever is most comfortable for you. I like a half kneeling position, that way I can focus a little bit more on proper core engagement here and get a little bit of balance and stability component along with this too. So I'll find a position that works for you. So I'm gonna place my hand right here on my belly to make sure I have some good core engagement, and I'm really thinking about staying braced the whole time through my midline as my arm is moving up and down, okay? So in order to do this, I'm gonna start in this position right here and make sure the shoulder is locked down and back. So I don't wanna shrug my shoulder up towards my ear right here. So I'm gonna probably provide a little bit of pinching for that shoulder. So I wanna make sure that it's down and back. We call it packing the shoulder. So from there, I'm gonna very slowly bring that arm up over my head. Once I get to this position, my thumb is still facing backwards. So right here is where I run out of room and I feel like I want to start arching my lower back. I'm not going to allow myself to do that. I'm simply going to turn my thumb so it's facing forward. I'm starting that rotation at the shoulder. So I want to go ahead and bring that arm all the way back around as far as I can, hunting into all those deep corners without compensating my lower back, arching or twisting too much. Once I get down to this position, I'm gonna reverse that card. I'm gonna bring that arm straight up again. Really trying to fight for all those good positions that I'm really tight in without compensating. I'm gonna bring it back down. So that once again was 1 rep, backward and forward. So I'm gonna do 4 more reps on this side, and then I'll switch over to the other side. So really I wanna make sure I'm staying focused, making sure I'm not speeding up too much, and just trying to get through the exercise because it's difficult. So if you have really stiff shoulders like me, this is gonna feel really, really challenging, especially if you're fighting for all those tight corners and not just going through the motions. If you're really flexible, it's gonna seem like a piece of cake and you're like, why am I doing this? Well, if you're really flexible already, you can do a little bit less of this and focus more on strength training and stability around your joints to make sure you can control all that flexibility. It's great to be flexible, but if you don't have the muscular strength or coordination to control that flexibility, then you may be setting yourself up for a little bit of injury later on down the line. So it's really important that we're maintaining strength along with flexibility. It's not just one or the other. All right, so I moved over to the other side here. Gonna get 5 each direction. Working on number 3, making sure I'm staying braced in my midline. I'm trying hard not to arch that back. All the way around. into all those deep corners there. This is great to do in the beginning of your day, or even in the middle of your day, to break up your, if you have a really sedentary job, to break up your sedentary lifestyle throughout the day and really loosen things up, and this will really help you get energized throughout the day as well. So now that we've got the shoulders, one final piece, we're going to be working on the neck here a little bit. All right, so especially if you have a desk job or a very sedentary job, we could get stuck into kind of this forward neck position right here, and everything up here can get really, really tight. So we want to really help loosen that up. So you could either stay like in a kneeling position like this and just come back, or you can stand. Once again, it's completely up to you, all right, which position you choose. Just make sure you're not comfortable, make sure you're comfortable and you're not overly stressing yourself. So I'm gonna stay on my knees right here. It's a nice comfortable position. So I'm gonna do neck cars, basically. Once again, just a big circle for the neck, all right? But we're not just flinging our head all the way around without controlling, all right? We're gonna very slowly get into all those tight corners and do very slow and controlled repetitions. So I'm gonna do 5 reps going in each direction, and that's going to be it for the whole sequence. So I'm gonna start this one by looking back. I'm gonna feel a nice neck stretch in the front of the neck. I'm gonna slowly go over to one side, go as far as my range of motion will allow me to go. I'm gonna look down, feeling all these nice stretches in different areas of my neck as I'm moving around. Might feel a little crack or two, and that's okay. As long as we're not forcing anything, should feel pretty good. Just go very slow, letting my eyes follow the direction my head is going. Just taking it nice and easy all the way around. So we got 3 reps each side. For 4. As I'm doing this, as my head is coming down, I want to make sure I'm not coming forward with my chest too. I want to try to keep my chest up in a neutral position with my shoulders back and not compensating by just dropping everything forward. All right, and that completes the routine. All right, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and click the like button. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel for a lot more content just like this. Also, you can head on over to my website, that is wolfpackfitness.com. I have a whole bunch of free resources, workout programs, and guides that you can download directly from the website.